the
Right.
before we started the show. When a person goes through extreme pain in life, it triggers the. Remember what Pace has said? It says that the magic of what you're looking for is
Mm.
hiding in that which you're avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What up, everybody? I am so blessed, so grateful for another beautiful day here. So thankful to y'all for taking time out and checking out another episode of Latinos crushing it, in entrepreneurial world, whether it's business acquisition, whether it's REI, whether it's owners of businesses. Today, y'all, I have a very special guest, my friend Ben. Known him for about 6 months now. Super humble. Thank you, Ben, for taking time out of your busy day and spending time here on a Sunday with me. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it, man.
No problem. It's a wonderful thing to be here. It was wonderful to see you yesterday. I haven't seen you in a while, and the rest of the family at Subto. I'm blessed to be here, bro. Come on,
Oh,
you
thanks, man.
got
Yeah, so we'll jump into, man. I've been interviewing Latinos, right, that are crushing it, whether it's an REI, whether they're business owners, whether it's something that inspire us to become our best every day, right? 1% better every day.
right.
And you're somebody that has been around the block, right? You have lots of experience, and I just want to take us back to your beginning journeys, right? From being from Mexico, you became an architect.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit how did that passion grew? Being I'm assuming you did that in Mexico. You graduated that, or did you do that here in the U.S.? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So it's very interesting, but I kind of learned something very beautiful last night, yesterday, in one of the conferences that we were at. Instead of jumping into the answer, which is a beautiful answer, I think is a very nice story. But right behind the story, I think what I want to say is this: I I came to America, and when I came to America to study at Georgia Tech, what I started to see that it was a little bit different of where I came from, and as you know, I come from Mexico, Guadalajara. But when I came to the new environment of America, the whole world is here. Like a lot of different races is here, and I started to really gravitate towards a particular type of people. And it
Mm.
had very little to do with the race. It had to do with an attitude and a mindset. And that is exactly what I wanted to say about on your comment of the Latinos. I love my Latino. I'm a hugger. You know that I'm all over the place. I absolutely have I don't know. I have a magnet that feels the magnetism and the energy of somebody else that I'm meeting. And as a rule, I don't like the little handshake, right? I like the hug. You noticed that probably.
Yeah, I
So
love it.
right, but I don't see the Latino or the African American or the Chinese. What I see is either he is an achiever and a goal oriented and a driven, purpose driven person. Is he accomplishing? Does he have a pathway or does he not?
Mm,
That's the one thing that if you want to say, oh, people say, oh, in Georgia, people are like the R word, right? Like the racist word and all that.
mm,
To me, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't see that. What I see is,
right.
it's not that I'm denying it, but what I'm seeing is intentionally, I fill my head with positivism and say, look, I have eyes for this, and I want to reflect and throw this energy to people. And you guess what? What you
Mm,
sow is what you reap, right?
that's
So
true.
yeah, so that right there, to all my Latino family, you guys are my brothers and sisters. I love it. Español es el primer idioma mío. So, but to answer your question, jump right into that. And so I was very fortunate. I have a really good relationship with my parents.
Mm,
It was an amazing gift of life for me to have that. And so when I came to America as an exchange student when I was in high school, 11th
mm,
and 12th grade, and I actually graduated from the South here from from the southeast in one of the states to get my high school diploma. So I came back to Mexico and I did the 5 years undergraduate in architecture. But as soon as I finished the 2 years in America, where I learned the basics of English, I came back to
Mm.
Mexico to Guadalajara, and then I was stuck at that point, and I didn't know really what path I was going to follow. And of course, I asked my father what he thought and what do you think, Dad? I'm kind of stuck. I see a wall. I don't know what to study, what
Mm.
to take, what to do. He said, well, you really need to think about business because you're the one that's going to take over my business. I'm the only boy or son that he had. I have three sisters in Mexico, right? So that put a lot of pressure on me when he said that because
Wow.
I'm not a merchant. He's a grocery store man. And it's like, I love grocery. We did really well when he had the grocery stores and all that, large format and all of that, Kroger style or Publix.
Wow.
But it was not my world.
Mm.
And so I looked to mom in despair and I said, Mom, what should I do? And she said, what? Are you asking my advice? And I said, yeah, I need help. And she said, you're an architect. And I was like 18 years old. I said, I don't
Wow.
know what that is. So my mom is my culprit. Yeah, I trusted her. We had a really good relationship, and so she said you might want to go and take just learn a little bit about it. And so I did. I got an interview with a couple of architects. I kind of mentor shadowed them a little bit, and so that's how I decided to be an architect. And so yeah, I don't know if that's the first part of the answer or the second part or.
Dude, no, I love it. I love that answer, man. You know how that turned into and it turned into a passion, right? Because you've been doing it for a very long period of time. You're very well accomplished in your industry. I think we were having a conversation. You've done projects not just here in the States, but many other countries, right?
Yes, yeah. Can I just say one more thing about that? I want to say that college is not necessarily for everybody.
Mm.
A lot of my good friends that I have, they have accomplished they have achieved their accomplishments and their targeted goals by virtue of just being focused and having strategies and working hard and being amazing at just taking action. And so a lot of times, college could be a huge distraction, and I can just
Hmm.
say that because it can delay your creativity and your innovation, and it can foster habits that you can form habits that are not necessarily that good during the college years. And so remember what you do consistently for 4 years. Imagine what you build up, and you can come out
Right.
and not know how to handle it. So I'm not discouraging people who are in college. I think it's a norm, but I think it's. My father went to a. I'll just go ahead and tell you. My father went to a third grade in elementary. That was it. He was so poor when he was growing up,
Mm.
and you know what? That's when he got the amazing drive to become someone of something of responsibility and success. So he has been my inspiration much more than the PhD guy the lady that used to teach us design in design class and architecture. And because one is very educated but they haven't done
Right.
anything,
No life
right?
experience, no
And
real.
my father had no education per se, but had nothing but a world of knowledge because he had nothing but work ethics. And I feel that's my inheritance. So that's what's pushed me, and that drives me even today. So I've been blessed, man. I've done all kinds of work. I've done shopping centers, repurposing shopping centers all over the place here in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, right? Same as you, Edgar.
Hmm.
I've done the Plaza Fiesta for a lot of the Latino brothers. I've remodeled it, designed and retrofitted and built it and everything. I've done houses of worship. I've done college campuses. I've done convention centers. I've done subdivisions. I've done um, modular facilities. I've done
Mm.
medical offices. All kinds of things. Projects here, projects in South America. I've done a lot of things in Mexico, and so yeah, yeah, I've been
I
really
love it,
blessed.
man. You know,
Yeah.
it sounds like you in your profession, right? You just focused, right? And you've accomplished amazing things, right? And I think something happens though. You mentioned earlier, right, about that creativity aspect. I don't know at what point in time, right? You decided to pivot into looking at other opportunities, right? I
Mm,
think there's a season in life, right? Like for even myself, there's a season in life where I focused in my field, which is the healthcare field, for the past 18 years, right? There's
right,
something that triggers our mind to say, what if I could look at this way, right? And look at other possibilities. What if I look on this side and talk to Ben, right? And learn about business acquisition, learn about creative finance, right? That
right,
little bug that it triggers, right?
right.
When was that moment for you, Ben? When did that trigger happen?
You know what? It happened about 2.5 years ago. I went to the courthouse because I knew that I built my house. I've done a lot of different building, but very unprofessionally, if you will, just kind of like ad lib. Kind of went
Mm,
after it. Like I knew I could build, I knew I could design, so it was a natural thing to buy and
mm-hmm,
buy my own property, build my own house for my wife, and I have, and that's where I lived and all that. So I have done a lot of houses. I worked for developers, so and then later on I became one and all that sort of stuff. But so what happens is that moment happened that when you go through a period of extreme pain in life, and we were just
mm,
talking about that off the
right.
before we started the show. When a person goes through extreme pain in life, it triggers the. Remember what Pace has said? It says that the magic of what you're looking for is
Mm,
hiding in that which you're avoiding.
yeah.
Yeah, so what that happens is I was looking for diversification, and I was looking to not be so much at risk financially of all the investments that we had done because
Mm,
I went through the 2008 2009 meltdown, if you remember, and
mm,
then also the pandemic. What happens is our industry of construction and design are very profitable when things are well, but when things are not so well financially, is the first line of
yeah.
impact, right? So everybody
Right.
that has done construction and all of that, even now without a pandemic, when you got a challenge with the interest rates going up, then the real estate kind of buying new houses gets a little bit more challenging. So that happens all the way across all the buildings, and we're
Mm,
architects and contractors are the first ones to get hit. So I started to think, this is not going to happen to me again. I got a little
mm,
nest egg. I got to invest it. So when it happened was I went to the courthouse and I met a lady that is goes to my congregation, and so basically we started talking, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I told her I'm trying to buy some foreclosures. But there's 150 people in Fayette County where I live in Peachtree City. So she says, "Oh, this is the wrong time and the wrong place to do it." So she coached me to go to the RIA. We went to the
mm,
RIA in Atlanta, and someone said something about Subto, and the rest is history. I never came
wow.
back over to the RIA, and I started going to the Subto, and so when I started learning that, that was when it really triggered the stepping it up and getting a system and getting a strategy and getting a timeline and what to I like everything else. I chase the shiny object syndrome, but yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? How certain things happen. Because I'm sure you've been in the real estate game for a while, right? Because of your background, because of the architecture world.
Right,
So it's interesting how things happen in a specific time within our lives that all of a sudden catches our attention, and we're like, oh my god, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should look into this,
yeah, I
right?
can do this, I can do this. But
Yeah, yeah.
before you lose 3 months and like, oh, I should have been doing just one thing and I should have gotten really good at this.
Yeah, because I know, like years ago, one of my friends is like, man, we should buy rental properties. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good, right? But in that moment in time, my mind, right, like my spirit wasn't there to accept that type of response, right?
Right,
Right? Because I think certain things happen in a specific time where you're able to accept that and be like, oh yeah, I could do something with that, because your mind is more open and more creative. You could find solutions.
right.
Uh, And it's powerful, because I'm sure you've had those opportunities in your long architecture experience, right, where people are like, hey, maybe we should do this, and your mind was too focused and maybe completing a project
Right,
that probably that kind of put the blinds on, right, and maybe we had these opportunities that we didn't see.
right.
So it's interesting, right, how things happen.
You know what's really powerful is that whatever we have done in the past, we may not be aware of it, but the gift is when you open your eyes to it, whatever you've learned in the past, you can actually transfer it
Yeah,
to the next phase. So as far as creativity, you when I heard the word creativity, I'm partial to that word, right? That an architect does nothing but creativity. I mean,
yeah, that's what you
if
do.
you don't have creativity, you need to get out of architecture.
Yeah.
But creative financing caught it really caught my mind when I started going to the PACE course and all that creative finance. Yeah, I think I can handle this. And you know what? It's been very amazing because you can actually
Right.
do this. I can do that. I can actually mix this. I can do a hybrid. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
just the whole world of real estate investing, it just opens and broadens your mind from the traditional type of real estate investing. It's
Right.
so powerful, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I wanted to touch on, you brought up the power of education, right? And the yes, or, because I know family members as well that, didn't go to school, right? And have accomplished great things, right? And we know of a good friend of ours, Alexis Morgan, right? And she pivoted. She finished high school, right? She surrounded herself with positive people, to your point, right, that could bring her to that next level, and she's doing amazing things, and I wanted to touch on that because when you see young entrepreneurs, that's one thing, right, that I'm trying to distill on my sons. It's like, school is great, but I want you to be more creative and think how you can bring opportunities, right, than
Mm.
following this sector of society that's like, you have to go to high school and you have to go to college, then you have to do this.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm kind of glad we're not really following a script, and I'll tell you why. Because you're just really um, shaking my brain for some of the things that I've heard and the wisdom of the people that I read and touch.
Mm,
There is an altogether the reason why we study something, the reason why we spend any time with a book. Is it just for the fun of learning, or is it to apply it?
mm,
If we answer that the reason is because we want to do it, in other words, if you go become a doctor, a pilot, or whatever, you just want to learn how to do it, or you want to become a pilot or a
mm,
doctor or an architect, you want to do it. The
right.
old way of studying in school was actually one person teaching and disciples around that teacher, but it was actually doing the stuff, not learning
Hmm.
about it. So when you hack the system, like our friend that you mentioned, a dear friend, and many of them, my father, Abraham, Alexis, all of these guys, I'm going to tell you something. They hack the system and bypass a whole bunch of times of analysis paralysis, man. Because what happens is when you're reading the book, you're gone time and time and spending time and learning. You get really good at book
You have
smart,
so much knowledge. Yeah, book smart.
dude.
but,
Instead
but
of
no action.
doing what you really are supposed to do. So you could actually be forfeiting your life's purpose, which is horrible waste of time.
Right.
By the time you actually end up, one of the things we were hearing yesterday in the podcast that was being live there is that we were actually supposed to do great things, amazing things, and that we were not supposed to. The more we get distracted, the more time we spend on something is absolutely is delaying the mastery of that. So you can get lost in the woods.
Yeah, no, so true. I mean, he threw that example out there, right? When you want to learn to do something, right? You don't learn it by constantly watching videos. You
The
gotta
example
put
he
you gotta
made,
put it in action.
the
You gotta
example
do
he
it.
gave about Carly, the young little girl, about the baseball learning
Yeah,
softball. I'm like, God, how brilliant and how simple and how beautiful this is because it's true. You got to do
yeah,
it. The whole
yeah,
purpose is to do it. And so I have been very blessed that you could do it and you can hang around the wrong group. So this is, guys, my friends and family that are watching this thing, spread the word. This is the best family on earth. I'm telling you, this is all the stuff you heard in the mass or church or synagogue, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever you heard from out there, some ideas, they're being landed in practice right here in this group. And to me, that's enough to be excited about.
Yeah, it's super pumped, super excited. So many like-minded individuals always want to get to that next level. We're always in that mentality where it's like, okay, mistakes are going to be there, but mistakes are normal. Learn from those mistakes and get better, right?
Right,
Because in our business, especially the real estate industry business, there you're going to get lots of no's.
right, absolutely.
No's are part of the normal, right? And you're going to get lots of bad deals as well, right? That don't pencil out,
It's part of the
and
situation,
it's
right?
part of the business, right? So part of mistakes, part of learning, and making those good opportunities. But as far as the community goes, you mentioned it, Ben. Yeah, this has been an amazing amazing community. A lot of amazing young and old people that all push to strive to get better every day.
I lost my father about a year ago, but I have a lot of things to remember that he shared with me, and I'm going to tell you. You just reminded me of one. He said when I was turning 12 years old, he said he gave me one book, and it was a little tiny little book that I keep around. It's called The Greatest Secret in the World, Og Mandino. But what he's this,
Mm,
along with the book, this is not about the book, but this is what he said. He says, I want you to do something. He says, I want you to climb all the 14 steps to the second floor. And I said, well, why would you want to do it, me to do it now? And he says, I want to share an idea that I have because nobody showed me this idea. And so I went up the steps and he said, count them. And I said, all right. So I got to the 15th, which is the first level in the house. And he said, how many are they? I said, 15. Well, 15 steps are really probably, do you think as a lot or as little? And I said, it's a lot. And he says, every step is necessary to be able to give you the height that you need to increase your height, the elevation, so you can go to the first floor. Without them, you cannot get there unless you have an elevator. He says, but I'm going to share something with you. Very simple. Every step, people call them normally, they call them mistakes.
mm,
I want you to call them steps, not mistakes. Because if you get used to making mistakes, you're going to learn a lot quicker and you're going to get further up. I want you to do that as my son, he said. You know what? I really wanted to share
wow.
with your audience because if you don't have a father or a person that loves you that tells you that early in the game, you're so afraid of what people are going to think of you. You're so afraid of taking moves and taking steps or messing up. But when you learn to mess up and you don't care about other people, but
Mm.
your experience, get empowered. And that's what I want the viewers to learn.
Yeah, man, it's so powerful, Ben. Thank you for sharing that, man. Oh my God,
That
man.
was my
Let
daddy,
that
man.
soak in, people.
Yeah,
Shoosh.
yeah,
Dude, I love that. Yeah, I'm still letting it soak in, man. That was good, brother.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because you're right. It's every step, and sometimes that first step sometimes is the hardest step. Um,
Mm.
when me
And we,
and when,
and we
when
think,
me,
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So you think about it, right? You mentioned analysis paralysis. I
Yes.
think several people that have been following that path we talked about, going to school, you always have somebody to tell you what to do. There's a point in life, right, where if you haven't been around entrepreneur mindset, like people that have that type of mentality where it's okay to make the steps, you
Yeah.
are afraid for
Yes.
that initial step because you're like, what happens if I do this? What's going to happen? Who's going to be there? And that's why a lot of people get stuck on that analysis paralysis because they're
Wow.
afraid. They're afraid to make that initial mistake because to your point, there isn't nobody there to help them, right? And that's what's so great about this community. There's nothing to be afraid. It's just you make a mistake. I even heard Zig Ziglar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know Zig Ziglar, right? He's like,
Man. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, you make
Why Zoo,
you
Mississippi?
Yeah, you make a mistake, tomorrow's going to be another day. It's going to be fine. Nothing. The sky doesn't fall.
That's right. But
So
that's one of the back to the education, higher education. They call it higher education. I don't know if it's because you get high in there. I don't have no idea why they call it that. But I will say that when you go to college, and if you realize that everything we do consecutively actually builds habits, and if you are today the result of the sum total of the habits that you have created, well, it's a scary thing if you learn to put off and paralyze and study too much instead of trying it.
mm,
You should just read enough to get the concept and go forward and go forward and get it, go after it. And so
yeah,
that is why I'm so adamant about that, because I suffered. I'm sharing with you some of the pain that I had to go through and overcome. So it's
yeah,
not foreign to me to be talking. This is the language I had to overcome. Like English, I had to learn to say, hey, dude, reading too much is hurting you.
right. Yeah. Yeah, you
Right.
got to practice. You got to practice talking it.
Get on
Yeah.
with it, man. Yeah.
Dude, man, I love it, brother. Hey, one, I did have one more question. We talked about real estate investing. We talked about education, right? We talked about personal growth. All of that comes to business, right? Having that mindset of business, owning businesses, right? Because you can be a solopreneur, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But
Right.
at the end, right, in order to make a big scale impact on other people's lives, right, it comes down to how can you scale a business. And I think that's one thing me and you also have in common, which is the business acquisition side.
Right.
You've been crushing it, my friend. So happy for you, man, for that.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
trying.
I've,
It's a blessing,
I'm,
man.
I'm still trying to dive into it a little bit more, but dude, I'm stoked with what you're accomplishing. But saying all that, that business acquisition sector, we have our mentor Carl Allen. Um, Tell me a little bit about that journey. How's that going for you? Like I said, I know you're crushing it, but I think somewhat to me it seems like it all ties in, right? And I'm gonna let
Absolutely
you fill
right.
it in and
Yeah.
give me your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I think whether it's real estate or whether it's acquisitions or whether it's your job that you're at, that is your business already, unless you don't take ownership of it and
Mm,
you don't call it your business. But if you don't take your business or real estate or business acquisitions, if you take it in the same way and you realize first of where you're standing, what do I have? Because if you're trying to do business in what Edgar's bank account has, and I'm going to do his money, well, it's true that you could be a partner with him, but he's going to have to agree to that partnership. So you
hmm
count what you have, whether it is experience, whether it's energy, whether it's time, whether it's money or mindset or whatever it is, and begin to work with that. That's what I would say. So that applies to real estate as it does to the business acquisition. So my journey there has been extremely amazing. We had, pretty much all the people who influenced me and the real estate career, because you and I met early enough to carry this torch and try to do something creative with it. So I've concentrated for the last 4 months into this acquisition, and so what I have been doing is what I believe is I think even pace was a catalyst to detect what I knew I sort of have had since I was born, I guess.
mm,
But I love people. I really, absolutely, genuinely care to get to know a person. I don't just want to, oh, just because he's there, well, whatever. So he kind of coined a name for me. He told me that I had a lot of energy, and he gave me a name. And so I said, if it's good enough and it's so evident that he notices it and other people notice it, I'm gonna capitalize on that. I think that's what one of the super gifts that I have, and so I started to use that. You don't have to have money. You
mm,
just have something and start with that. So I got the networking, which is what I love to handshakes. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna have to say kudos to Alexa. She taught me this. She says the more hands I shake, the more money I make. Of course,
mm,
people have been saying it for a long time, but I turned that into something else because Pace called me Energy Ben, And then my family rebranded it and say, no, it's Benergy. And so I started to think a handshake with Benergy turns into synergy. That's what I started thinking. And so I,
Oh man, that's so
right,
good, brother.
right. So we're gonna go there. That's what I've been doing for 4 months, and I closed on my first deal, as I told you,
Dude, man.
yesterday. So
Yeah.
bought the first, and this is being public. The group doesn't even know it. We just closed yesterday. Yeah, so it's going good. Yeah,
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm super happy for you. And, I think one thing I'm constantly learning from you is, to your point, the more handshakes you get around, it's about relationships. It's
it is
about how you create authentic relationships, because
authentic.
those relationships are going to take you to that next level, right? Because you're being genuine, you're really there to help out, you're really there to provide value. It doesn't have to be monetary value, right? But just being aware of what you can bring to the table. Dude, man, that's so powerful, man. And I just
Yeah,
want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
absolutely. Well, honestly, I want to create some sort of bridge because I am a builder and I put a lot of love into what I do. And so I want to create in this business, the acquisitions thing. I wanted to create an environment, and I haven't really done it yet, but I'm working towards this idea of allowing people from our countries coming full circle to Latino, right?
Mm,
So if I could, because I learned, I went in one of the conferences, one of the creative cons that we went to. There was a lady. I don't know if you were in the one in Atlanta. There
yeah,
was a
the one in
lady in
Atlanta.
Africa that was a CPA that made room for internships for the young people in Africa. And I'm thinking, gosh, that is something strong enough to
Yeah.
emulate. I've been dreaming to be able to do that for architects and engineers from other countries, from our South America people.
Hmm.
Say, it's open, brothers, come on. And that's what I want to do. So God help me, I want to do that.
Dude, that's a strong vision, man. Yeah, I remember we were there at the Atlanta Dealmaker Prodigy event, and your lights lit up when you heard her speak, and you're like, "Oh my god, that
I
is
ran
something
to
I
her.
want to do." You
I,
ran to her to say hi, to get her digit.
yeah, exactly. So
Oh
there you
man,
go.
so excited, Ben. Well, again, it's a Sunday, man. I'm super grateful that you spent your time here with me, man, and enlightening us and helping me in my journey, man. Super thankful. If you had any other thoughts or any other advice to young, old Latinos, or anybody that you would want to share something special, man, the floor is
Well,
you, my friend, and thank
well,
you again.
I'm just gonna tell you from my heart. You are what you do, over and over and constantly, moment by moment, day by day, week by week. You are the sum total of what you do. So you might want to figure out and track what you do because that's what you are, moment by
I love
moment.
it. I love it, brother. Mil gracias, Ben. Un placerazo, man.
Muchas gracias a
Gracias, gracias. Aquí estamos. And
ti.
yo hope y'all enjoy the episode. Catch y'all next time, my friends.
All
And
right.
no vayas a colgar, espérame. I'm going to edit this. I just need to stop the recording, let it save.